1986, he gleaned extensive local and global experience at Cooper and Leibrand and Deloitte and Touch. He set up a practice in South Africa in 1991 and today specializes in corporate and company restructuring and privatization, audits, due diligence, reviews, transactions, and widespread corporate consulting. Good morning and welcome, Ian.
Good morning. Good morning, Romani.
Ian, before we get started, can you tell us briefly what RAIN does and the services that RAIN offers to business?
RAIN is a boutique audit firm, and we've, in the last 5 years, specialized in the franchise market. We have a number of franchisees that are clients and understand that space very well. But we provide a broad range of services: tax, auditing, consulting, accounting. So it's, I suppose, a typical audit firm.
Okay. And now, today I invited you to have a chat with us because many businesses, from big franchises to small businesses, are really stressing about how they are going to cope with paying employees to paying the bills and to trying to keep their businesses afloat during this lockdown. So today I want to share with our audience tips and ideas on how they can manage expenses in their business cost effectively. So can you tell us what criteria should one apply to identify a cost as a crucial expense or an expense one needs to cut in one's business during this time?
I think that you have to really look forward and say, what are the expenses that I need to maintain in order to have a business going? In other words, so let's just take an example. If you don't necessarily need your premises and you now can relocate home and work from home, then rent is something that goes on your list. So you're looking forward rather than saying rent was 50% of my expenses, therefore I can halve it. Look at your business going forward. What are you going to be doing? So if you need a big kitchen, it's no use halving the size of your kitchen. If the kitchen is going to be critical for your business going forward, or the workshop, you need an X amount of space. Because remember, there's a new element that's coming into our businesses now, which we didn't cater for: social distancing. So, you may have had a number of employees working shoulder to shoulder. That's not going to be the case going forward. So what are you going to do? So I think that rather than looking at the history, look at what you're going to have to do. So if in your restaurant you have 20 tables and 5 waiters, you may have to look at the layout and say, no, I can only have 10 tables, 5 tables, I don't know what it is. And to do 5 tables, I need this. So yes, the history is important, but looking forward and looking at what you're going to have. If your business has changed to deliveries, well, then it's a different business and you need different things. So so now you may not have rent, but you may have scooters. You may not have waiters, but now you have drivers. So I think it's important. It's not about looking at what you cut. It's not looking at the history. It's, I think, equally important to have a vision of what you're going to be like going forward. And there's stuff that you didn't have in the past, right? Everybody talks about it. You're going to have to provide masks, sanitizers, gloves, whatever. So there's also going to be expenses that you didn't have in the past that you're going to have to factor in going forward. So I think it's not about cutting, it's about a vision of what you're going to look like. Yes, you have the history and you know what you need, but what is your business going to be going forward? That's the critical element.
I like that because I agree with you, especially when it comes to working from home. A lot of people are being very resistant, allowing their employees to work from home. And this kind of pandemic has shifted where companies have been forced to allow workers, especially those who could work from home, to work from home. And why not? Because it has so many benefits and advantages, especially for employees' well-being at the same time. And then landlords, on the other hand, if they now start having empty buildings, they could look at possibly changing and converting those into rental apartments, because there seems to always be never enough space for people to live in.
Absolutely. Everybody's going to think about it differently. I think you would have seen this morning Capitec Bank are changing their branches to call centers.
Okay.
That's just looking at going forward. In other words, you're not going to have people aren't going to go into branches anymore. So you're going to have more online calls. You're going to have that's where they've geared themselves up, and they are renting laptops for their staff. So they didn't have that line item in their P&L prior to yesterday, but now this is how they geared up their business. This is what they feel they need to look like going forward. So I think that's what it's about. It's about looking at the future. I know it's scary because everybody is caught and doesn't know what to do today. And I'm saying to them, look to the future. They say, well, you know what? I can't see beyond next week. But you have to get beyond next week.
You do. And I mean, with Industry 4.0 that everybody's been talking about, I mean, robotics are coming into, AI is coming into the world. So there's a lot of technology that really positions us in such a better way to be able to connect with each other, to be able to host meetings like we are now, to have conference meetings, to do a whole host of things. It's just maybe taking yourself out of your mind of that overwhelming situation of what am I going to do, and rather just go onto the internet and just explore your options. Go and have a look at future trends, new opportunities, those sort of aspects.
I think that those are the critical things. Look at your staff; they are important. I think that franchise businesses, everybody knows the employees. It's not big corporates where people make decisions in a boardroom. Everybody can relate to every one of their employees, so it's not a difficult. It's not difficult to understand or to engage with them or to relate to them and see what we're going to think about new ways of working, shifts, and things that people did not consider before, because as I said, we now have a different environment that we're working in. My offices, we're looking at the rules that we have to use, and we are saying there can never be more than 25 people in the office. What do we do? We can't double the size of our space and add. So we're saying, well, you know what? We're going to work shifts. How do we do it? It's new ground for everyone. So the critical thing is you know what? We are all very, very creative when we're pushed into a corner.
Very true, very true. I just want to say a quick hi, shout out to Sean Goldsmith. He's saying, hi guys, all the way from Great Britain. Thank you for joining us today, Sean. If you have any questions, guys, please ask us and we'll answer them when we can. So would you say, Ian, is this different for franchise, the crucial cost expenses? Is it different for franchisees to franchisors?
I think that the franchise market is really a partnership market. Franchisors can't exist without franchisees. And there's different models. There's some models where the franchisor owns the bulk of the outlets. There's some where they own some of them. There's others where they don't own any. And this is the time, I think, when that relationship gets even closer. If the business is in trouble and if you're not going to make it, the first person the franchisee should be talking to is the franchisor. It's the first person to, that's a fountain of knowledge for them to go. Don't go and speak to your golf buddy or, your dentist or your barber. Speak to your franchisor. Um, I mean, it just depends what relationship you have. But it also goes back to the fundamental thing. Have you been running a good operation? So, if the operation is just one that is hit by bad times now or difficulties now, I'm certain that the franchisor will step up and be able to assist. That's, franchisors do not exist without franchisees. Some of them that didn't own any outlets may choose to bring them in now to make sure that the brand isn't damaged and that they do have, a footprint, because they're not going to lose all those stores and then try and rebuild their footprint in 2 years' time. So they may want to take some stores in-house, operate them for a while, and then put them out to other franchisees for a while. They may choose to support a franchisee that's in trouble, extend credit, whatever it is, support him and know that, this is somebody that in a year will be back on his feet and operating again. Or it may find a buyer for him to say, listen, you know what? We know of somebody who had approached us and was looking at acquiring a franchise, and that's it. But there is going to be consolidation in the market. There is going to be casualties that we just have to accept. So you want to manage that process. You don't want to do brand damage. If you're the franchisor, you want to make sure that's a managed process. It's the franchisor working with the landlord, working with the franchisee, everybody together, because neither does the landlord want to have a whole lot of empty shops in his property. It just, everybody depends on that foot traffic that they need in that space is critical for them. So I think you're going to see, and I mean, as I said, I had numerous, our landlord for our property had written to us and said, listen, don't panic. We're working on something. The industry is getting together, and they're going to put out a press release that guides everybody as to what's being done. So I don't think people need to panic too much, because that's going to cause more problems for everyone.
I think it's just a case of people coming together, and there used to be where people weren't open about the stuff that was going on in their lives, and I think we've come to a point where, as a humanity, we need to start being more open and be more considerate, having a bit more empathy towards each other. Let's share each other's. Not become a moaning person, but more like just share what's going on in your life, so we know how we can work together to find a solution to move forward, so to speak.
I mean, yes, you know what? We always had the experience with clients is that they would tell you part of the story until they had a query from SARS. Then you would hear the entire story. Well, treat this like an inquiry from SARS. Like, you know what? You have to go there and bare your soul and say, listen, you know what? I spent the money on a second holiday home. And you know what? In the short term, I can't get anything for that house, and the business is strapped now. I took too much money out of the business. This is the situation, whatever it is. And I'm saying to you that I think that the relationship between the franchisor and the franchisee needs to get much closer, because that's where the help is going to come from. That's where the help is going to come from. And again, I think that this is where FASA can play a critical role, because it's that independent referee. As you say, people didn't share because the franchisee didn't want the franchisor to know too much, because just in case the marketing fee went up too much, or the royalties went up too much, or whatever it was. So, just enough information, just enough information. But this is different times now. This is different times. We're talking about everybody wanting to save the country. We are in this together. We're in this together.
We certainly are. I see Sean is asking, does the franchisor approach the landlord or the franchisee? Will the landlord converse with the franchisor as they are not the leaseholder?
I think that this is where what we were referring to about the franchisor and the franchisee talking. I mean, if the franchisor, this is where I said, the franchisee gave just enough information. So if you want the franchisor to go and talk on your behalf, you must let him know the number of times you were late with the rent and why you were late. You mustn't send him out there and say, listen, go and speak to Liberty for me and just, explain the story. And they've read the papers and they know when you're 6 months in arrears. And, anybody walking in there, they'll say, that's the last person that should ask you. This is where I'm saying the communication's got to be open and say, I was 6 months in arrears because 1, 2, 3, whatever the issue is. And this is how I'm going to rectify it. It is what it is. You can't change it now, but let the franchisor know. But I think that this is where what I was referring to, where FASA, on behalf of the franchisors, can speak to the landlords or there's a handful of them that cover 80% and say, listen, you know what? They are working together, because if you take your FASA membership, it's a huge client base or tenants in this property portfolio. So, you can represent and say, it's about going to the market with a common voice. But I think that's it. So, Sean, to answer your question, it would help to be able to set up a meeting where the franchisors can approach. But as I said, different franchise models have different arrangements. There's some where the franchisor owns the property. So your landlord is the franchisor.
Now tell us, in order to avoid running up huge bills that a business may or may not be able to pay later, what expenses or invoices would Rain or yourself, Ian, recommend for franchisors or franchisees to pay now if cash flow allows for it?
Look, I'm going to say something that's controversial. You must keep cash is king. So pay only really what you have to pay. Approach everybody, whether it's your point of sale lease or hang on to your cash. Hang on to your cash at all costs. Your landlord, approach the bank about the lease on your car, everything. This is the time, as long as you are upfront, honest, you share everything, you can negotiate anything and just say, listen, this is the commitment I make, but hold on to your cash. You know, look at each item that you are paying and say, you know, say to the, I don't know, the landlord, I'm going to just pay for services, not for the, you know, I need my fridge to be running. So I'm going to pay the electricity, but I can't pay the rent. You know, you need your fridge to be running so that all your merchandise doesn't go off. But you need to go and talk to each one and analyze each expense item and just say, you know what, in 3 months' time, I will know what is going on. Because at the moment, it's all guesswork. Because you don't know, there may be no clients. So you may be open for business. You may have a rental holiday. You may have paid your salaries. You may whatever. But April, May, June, July, you don't have customers because nobody's buying tires. So, you know, and it's only once we get out of this lockdown, we get back into business and we understand how this has impacted our customers, will we be able to say, okay, this is the scenario? Then you're going to go back to the landlord and say, guess what? Business is back. I'm happy. I'm going to pay my rent, my arrear rent over 3 months, whatever it is. I don't know. You look at it. But for today, keep all your cash.
What I'm picking up is communication. Communication is absolutely key throughout this whole experience. I mean, also, Sean has also just shared with us that he's originally from Mpumalanga and he runs a franchise mastermind of 300 franchisors. And so he's just saying thank you because what you're sharing is resonating and what he's been saying to his franchises. So thank you for sharing that with us. So, yeah. Yeah, and how should a franchise plan for emergency funding that they may receive but have to pay back later? So what plans would you recommend?
You see, this is why I'm saying to you, I don't think we need to have all the plans now because we aren't back into the market yet. So, you know, this is what, when we get back next month and we see how people are reacting, because I don't think that we should anticipate that all the malls are going to be full, everybody is going to be ordering online, and it's not going to be normal for a long time. You know, there are some businesses that depended on tourism, and you know it's going to be a while for that to come back. There are other people, just like we are saying, keep your cash. You know, if consumers are keeping their cash, nobody's buying, nobody's spending. In other words, people are just spending on the bare essentials. Once we understand the new environment, we must plan accordingly. Out of this year, I think the lesson is know your business very well. We were in a phase of some excess where people, you know, didn't worry. Is that your financials were done or your record keeping was 6 months behind, but you know what? You had enough cash in the bank, you didn't bother. So today, what I'm saying to you is that you have to be on top of everything. It's like when you started your business, you know, when you knew everything that happened, you didn't spend a cent before you looked at something over 10 times. You're going back to that. It's the way you behaved when you started your business is that you just didn't throw a paper clip away. You said, well, you know what? I can use this again. We're going back there. We are going back there. This is what's going to be the new environment. People, it's not a case of, well, I think this is the budget for paper clips. No, nothing. It's like everything is zero-based budgeting. We'll look at it and see if we do need paper clips. That's where we're going back to, and that's how businesses are going to operate going forward. It's going to be understand everything again.
I love that. I love that. I think the world really is moving back to basics, and we all have to reevaluate ourselves moving forward. So, Sean, we got enough. Oh, yes, it's all we've got enough time for today. Thank you for some really helpful answers, and thank you for your time. If anybody has any questions, you can please post them in the comment box below on our fan page, and I'll pass them on to Ian. Ian, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, how is the best way they can get in touch with you?
I think that the best way is if you drop an email to info@rain.org.za.
Perfect.
info@rain.org.za.
Perfect. And we'll also add a link in the comment box of how you can get hold of Rain and Ian, should you need to.
Sorry. I think it's just don't overreact. Just, and while we're in lockdown, we can do nothing at the moment. Do all your thinking, all your planning, everything now. And look at every line item as if you were starting your business from fresh.
I love that advice. And I think it is time that everybody, you know what, to me, this is just, I think for a long time, the world has been wanting a way to just have a time out, and I think collectively we've been asking for this, and now it's happened. So use this opportunity, no matter what situation you find yourself in, go reflect, go inside, see how you can become a better person tomorrow, how you can maybe upskill yourself, reassess your life, reassess your situation, no matter which position that you are in at the moment. So I love that, yes.
And there's going to be new rules that we have to, as I said, social distancing, all those things we didn't have to deal with 6 weeks ago. Now it's part of our life. So, and this is a good time. You can do nothing. Sit, plan. Don't do, plan.
Or meditate. It's always a good thing to do. Sabi, thank you. A shout out to you. And thank you for joining us today. Just to remind you that FASA is a non-profit organization that protects, lobbies, and promotes and develops ethical franchising. If FASA offers memberships to both existing franchisors and franchisees who run ethical businesses. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and have a wonderful week going forward.
Thank you very much, Owen. Thanks very much. Cheers.